Good morning, y'all. It's 5:28, 28 degrees even. It's day, 56. It's May 28th. Waking up and get back on the CDT. All right, good morning, folks. It's 5:28 and 35.6 degrees. I'm just leaving the big clearing where Midnight and I camped last night. Headed back over to the Ute Lake Trail. Yeah, slept good last night. I was actually laying down to go to sleep like by 8. So I think like 8:05, 8:10, something like that is when I actually started trying to close my eyes, and was pretty well out cold by 9, which is good. And then I don't know if it's quite appropriate to say overslept when I still woke up earlier than 5:30, but slept later than sometimes I might. Not quite sure where I am. Anyways, yeah, so got a good 8.5, whatever hours of sleep, which is pretty darn good, I'd say. And yeah, it was comfortable, real comfortable. Yeah, and then this morning when I was getting all dressed up, I couldn't find my left wool Injinji toe sock. This would have been the 4th day of wearing that particular sock. I'm gonna double check where I am. Hang on, I'll be right back. All right, back on track. I was where I thought I was. So, yeah, so I couldn't find my left sock. And so I wound up just wearing, right now, basically in Pagosa, this most recent time in Pagosa, I replaced both of my Injinji toe sock pairs. They were just getting holed out. So I replaced them. I bought 2 new pairs, but I saw that this outfitter had wool Injinjis, so I bought 1 pair of wool Injinjis and 1 pair of the exact same synthetic Injinjis, which I've been using. So out of Pagosa, I put on the wool Injinjis and planned on wearing those 3 or 4 days before switching to the synthetics, and then kind of comparing how I like the two. But yeah, this morning I couldn't find the left wool Injinji, so right now I have 1 synthetic Injinji on my left foot and 1 wool Injinji on my right foot. Kind of silly. As I was packing up, the second wool Injinji turned up, so I'll have it. I mean, I didn't lose it. I just kind of misplaced it for a short time as I was getting dressed. That's fine. Anything else? Anything else exciting? As exciting as losing socks. Not really. Well, I guess the main news of the day is that Midnight says we have 3 or 4 miles to get to the CDT. My reading of the map looks like we have more like 4 or 5 miles, 5 or 6 miles, something like that. 4, 5 or 6 miles to get back to the CDT on this Ute Lake Trail. Either way, it's not too bad. Gonna be a solid climb to get up there though. So that is underway now, and that's all I got. So talk to you guys a little later. Shames is that mountain over there is not called Rio Grande Pyramid, but indeed over here is called Rio Grande Pyramid. Betwixt the two is a cool feature called the window, which unfortunately we are not going through, but is a really creature nonetheless. Guys, 52.2 degrees here at 12:03 p.m. Just about 12 and a half miles into the day, and just about half a mile trail south of the Ute Lake Trail. That's UTE, Ute Lake Trail. Thought I might turn on at this point, in spite of the wind, for the daily health check-in. The weekly health check-in, just because, in case you can't tell, this is really a beautiful spot. I'm about just a touch under 12,400 feet above the planet Earth's oceans, and it's been a really pleasant day so far. Yeah, so, as I mentioned, today is day 56. It's an interval of 7, and that means it's time again for a weekly health check-in, weekly health update, whatever. Man, oh man, look at this. Yeah, not bad. Sorry for the wind, but you're welcome for the views. So health. I'll get the big one out of the way first. The most observant of you may have noticed on yesterday's video that upon the middle finger of my right hand, I was wearing a finger brace. The San Juan Mountains over to Lake City, so hopefully another... So on day 50, which is to say the day after my last health update, took a spill coming around some blowdowns with midnight, and jammed up my right middle finger. Still, I'm leaning more and more towards it probably not being broken, which is nice, but I'm not 1,000% sure whether it's broken or just really well jammed up. All the same, the treatment and end result is pretty much the same. So having broken 2 bones at the end of the Appalachian Trail last year, and having spent the intervening, July to April, 9 months, arguing with insurance about that treatment that I received for those broken bones, I just as soon not go back to the doctor and have them x-ray what may or may not be a broken finger. I'm leaning more towards it not being broken, just kind of badly jammed up. So yeah, so there's that. It's not a big deal, totally not a big deal. It doesn't bother me very much, very regularly at all, so that's fine. And really, fundamentally, if I were to go to the hospital or whatever, all they would do is x-ray it, tell me to wear a splint or tape it to another finger, and then give me a bill. So I'll just save myself the headache. I'm perfectly capable of taking care of it myself. Yeah, so there's that. Aside from that, let's see, the road walking the past few days past couple of few days has been nice for like mileage and ease of travel, but has resulted in just a couple of small things. Again, none of this is really, you know, big health issues, luckily. But I started getting some blistering on my left pinky toe. Just, you know, I guess just from all the repetitive steps and flatlands and stuff like that. You know, so I lanced that and wrapped it up with Leukotape, and that's kind of how that works out here. So, but it's again, it's not bad. I've also noticed, I imagine as a result of this road walking, some increased sort of tightness in the shins. Again, luckily, not yet anything I would call pain, but definitely just some sort of tightness, which should be fine. I'm going to take 1 second and make sure I'm still on the right trail, because there was just a lot of intersections of trails just now. There's also just a little bit of tightness in my left ankle, but again, not pain, and I expect and hope, I should say hope, let me not get presumptuous, I should say I hope, slash parentheses expect, end parentheses, that that the tightness in both the shins and the left ankle will kind of resolve with more of this kind of varied terrain, and oh man, it's so pretty out here and stuff like that. Okay, so the final thing I think I'll mention for the health update, the body part of it, is like, I was talking to Midnight yesterday, because I've had like a bit of a, not like a super bad cough or anything like that, but just a little bit of coughing, just slightly productive, nothing crazy, nothing scary, but just a slightly productive cough, which kind of is a little worse at the beginning and end of the day as I go from standing to laying or laying to standing. And I had been attributing that cough to, I mean, having spent so much time out in the cold at elevation through the lower San Juans last week or whatever. And I mentioned that to Midnight because I noticed that both Midnight and Nurse had sort of similar, you know, rather pedestrian but worth noticing coughs, frequent throat clearings and things like that. And she put me right that perhaps the more likely culprit is not so much the nature, which tends to make us healthier, but indeed the fact that one of the women working at the San Juan Motel had a pretty god-awful cough working. They were all nice people there. I don't want to slag out that business, but you know, more likely than not, that cough did not come from the mountains or the elevation or the cold or whatever. More likely than not, this cough that we all share now came from another person's cough. So, but whatever. Again, it's not really bothering me or anything. It's not too bad. I think that is just about all I have for the body part of the health update. Moving into the gear part of the health update, just real quick and dirty. CNOC bag that I patched up in Pagosa before coming back out for this jump. Those leaks are still leaking, but they are leaking significantly less than they had been before I patched them. So I do not expect this CNOC bag to survive another 200 miles, but it'll get me through, and that's really about the next best thing. So that's good. I think my gear shout out for the week, it often goes without mentioning because I just kind of take it for granted, but that's my little stick pick, my little camera mount assembly thing that I use for all those sort of sweeping shots and things like that, to mount the GoPro onto the tip of my trekking pole. I have had some difficulty with the stick pick, both on this hike and on the AT last year. But every time I reach out to, oh gosh, is it Rusty or Randy? I think it's some kind of R name. Apologies. Every time I reach out to the man who makes these, a thru-hiker in his own right, who lives in California and kind of 3D prints them up, he is super receptive and always willing to help me out and mail out extra components or whatever it is that I need. So it is mildly frustrating that it's not quite as robust as I would love, but it is incredibly reassuring and certainly drives me towards praising it rather than criticizing it, that the manufacturer stands by the product so fastidiously. So that's great. Stick pick gear item of the week, I think. Really cool thing. Check it out, thestickpick.com, I think is what it's called. Yeah, I think that's all I got for this health update. We should be pretty close to Ute Lake, by way of the Continental Divide Trail and not the Ute Lake Trail, which I'm hoping I passed. I think midnight and I may stop there and have some wet dinner or something. We'll kind of see how we go. But hope you enjoyed the views. Hope the wind wasn't too bad. Talk to you guys later. Good evening, folks. It is 7:33, 46 degrees even, and we've made it to home for the night here below Hunchback Mountain. That's what we're coming off. We are right next to Bear Creek, and I'm not really sure exactly where that is. At the trailhead for Bear Town, which is a really reassuring name for an area. Today was a really cool day, actually. I feel like hopefully we got some good views for you and stuff. But I think we came up and over four different sort of passes, which is pretty neat. And really, for the most part, the day has been really pleasant, climatologically speaking. And then it kind of got a little cloudy here in the second half of the day, which is, I've noticed a bit of a pattern here. And then as the feet got wet and snowy and cold, that's become a little less pleasant, but we're at camp now. So there's midnight, hey, and my tent back there. And yeah, we hadn't really spoken at great length about what kind of mileage we were going to do today, other than kind of having a shared understanding that averaging 20 miles a day, as I alluded to yesterday or something, was kind of our goal. But we banged out a 25, which was cool. Feel pretty good about it. The last climb was fine. Honestly, all the climbs today were, you know, I mean, I'm not going to lie, they worked me, but they weren't brutal, I don't think. So that was pretty nice and kind of made it easier to keep going. Yeah, I mean, I really don't have a whole ton to report. When we had gotten onto this jump, Midnight had read that starting tomorrow, the weather was supposed to be pretty rocky. No pun intended for the name of the mountains. But like snow and rain and cold and wind and stuff like that. And I just checked for updated weather for this exact location on my Garmin. And that came back with like 10% chance of precipitation. And that cold is definitely going to come in. It's going to be like 22 degrees overnight tomorrow night, I think, or something like that. And it'll be windy, but hopefully without precipitation, it'll be a little more manageable. So we'll hope that's how things shake out. I will also say one other thing, just to go back to the health update video from earlier. I didn't mention all these crazy like cuts and stuff I'm still getting all over my hands, whether it's like the dryness or just random cuts. So I have, let's see, this one kind of like right at the cuticle of the thumb. I don't really know what's going on there, and sometimes it bleeds and sometimes it doesn't. This one tends to bleed just kind of like right on the pad of my right thumb, which isn't great, but there's really not really a whole lot I can do about it. I might try and wrap it up tonight, but right now, I mean, everything's just dirty, so I don't really know if that's going to do me any good. But they're not really like, certainly not terminal, I won't die. But yeah, that's all I got. We're at 11,733 feet of elevation right now. This is where we'll be sleeping, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow.